You wake up exhausted at 3 in the morning, staring at the ceiling, dreading that cold walk to the bathroom for the third time tonight. You are doing everything right. You drink your 8 glasses a day, you avoid caffeine before bed, yet your mouth feels dry, your skin feels thin, and your bladder is constantly screaming for relief. But here is the biological truth that most doctors never mention. That glass of pure water sitting on your nightstand is exactly what is forcing your kidneys to stay awake. Today, we fix your cellular hydration. For decades, we have been told that hydration is simply about volume. Drink more water, flush the toxins out. So, as we get older and start caring more about our health, we buy expensive reverse osmosis systems. We drink premium bottled water that has been purified and stripped of absolutely everything. And that is exactly where the nightmare begins. When you drink plain, completely purified water, you are drinking a dead liquid. It has no sodium, no magnesium, no potassium. It is completely empty, and your body is incredibly smart. When you pour a large volume of empty water into your stomach, it enters your bloodstream and immediately dilutes the natural salt concentration in your blood. This sudden drop in blood salt levels triggers a severe panic response in your kidneys. Your body thinks it is drowning from the inside out. So what does it do to survive? It acts like a diuretic. Your kidneys immediately open the floodgates to get rid of that pure water as fast as physically possible, dumping it straight into your bladder. This is the hidden flush. You are not hydrating your muscles. You are not hydrating your brain. You are just creating a direct, high-speed pipeline from your mouth to your toilet. And the tragedy is, you go to bed thinking you are perfectly hydrated, but your cells are actually starving for moisture. You do not have a broken bladder. You do not have an inevitable aging disease. You are simply stuck in a dangerous cycle of drinking water that your cells cannot absorb. But there is a way to turn that pure water into a sponge that stays inside your tissues and lets your bladder sleep through the night. Let us zoom in for a second and look at what happens inside your body the moment you swallow a glass of pure water. You have trillions of cells, and every single one of them needs water to function, to repair, and to keep you alive. But here is the biological catch that changes everything. Your cells have doors, and those doors are locked tight. Water cannot just invite itself in. The only way water can cross the cell membrane and get inside is if it has a chemical key. And in human biology, that key is made of electrolytes, specifically sodium, potassium, and magnesium. When you drink commercially purified water, or water from a reverse osmosis filter, you are giving your body millions of water molecules with absolutely no keys. So, what happens to all that empty water? It cannot get into the cells, so it just sits in your bloodstream. Imagine pouring a bucket of water onto a hard concrete floor. It just pools there and immediately runs off into the nearest drain. That is exactly what plain water does inside your vascular system. This is where your survival mechanisms take over. Your blood requires a very specific, highly delicate balance of salt and water, a metric we call blood osmolarity. When you flood your veins with plain water, you suddenly dilute that critical salt concentration. Your blood becomes dangerously thin. If your body allowed this to continue, your brain and tissues would actually swell, a dangerous medical state called hyponatremia. But your biology is brilliant and protective. To save your system and restore that delicate salt balance, your brain sends a rapid emergency signal to your kidneys. It tells them to get rid of this excess, useless water right now. Your kidneys instantly shift into emergency dumping mode. They pull all that unabsorbed, pure water out of your blood and shove it directly down into your bladder. This is the exact physiological reason why you can drink a large glass of water right before bed, still feel completely parched in your throat, and yet 30 minutes later, your bladder is bursting with pressure. The water never made it to your dry skin. It never made it to your tired, cramping leg muscles. It just went straight through your internal plumbing. You are essentially flushing your deep sleep away. As we get older, especially after the age of 50, our cell membranes naturally become a bit more stubborn. The cellular doors become harder to open. Your body needs an even stronger electrolyte signal to absorb moisture. When you drink dead water, you are starving your tissues while simultaneously exhausting your urinary system. I really want you to hear this because it brings so much relief to my patients. For the vast majority of you watching right now, you do not have a broken bladder. You do not have a failing urinary tract. Your kidneys are functioning perfectly. They are just responding correctly to bad water. You do not need to drastically dehydrate yourself to sleep through the night. You simply need to learn how to lock that water inside your muscle cells instead of letting it spill out into the dark. Now that you understand how pure water flushes right through your system, we have to talk about the missing key. And this is where it gets controversial, because the very thing you need to fix your nighttime urination is the exact thing you have been told to avoid for the last 20 years. I am talking about salt. If you are over 50 years old, you have probably been warned about the dangers of sodium. You have been told to put away the salt shaker, eat bland foods, and watch every single milligram you consume to protect your heart. You followed the rules. You eat a strict low-sodium diet. Yet, ironically, this well-meaning habit is one of the primary reasons you cannot sleep through the night. Let us look at the biology of aging. As we cross 60 years of age, a crucial hormone in our brain called vasopressin begins to decline. Vasopressin is your anti-diuretic hormone. Its entire job is to tell your kidneys to slow down urine production while you sleep. When you are young, you produce plenty of it. When you are older, this hormone naturally drops off, meaning your kidneys are already working overtime at night. Now, combine that aging process with a strict low-sodium diet. When you severely restrict salt, your body goes into a state of mineral starvation. Your blood volume drops. To compensate, your adrenal glands pump out a stress hormone called aldosterone, desperately trying to hold on to whatever trace amounts of salt you have left. When you have low vasopressin and extremely low sodium, the water you drink has absolutely nothing to anchor it inside your body. There is no magnetic pull keeping the moisture inside your tissues. So, when you lie down in bed and gravity shifts the fluids in your body, all that unanchored water simply drains back into your bloodstream, heads straight to your kidneys, and fills your bladder. You are essentially leaking water all night long because you lack the minerals to hold it in place. But here is the massive twist that the medical community often glosses over. Not all salt is created equal. When your doctor tells you to avoid salt, they are talking about chemically processed, bleached, refined table salt. That white powder on restaurant tables is stripped of all its natural nutrients, leaving only harsh sodium chloride that spikes your blood pressure and causes dangerous swelling. That is not what your cells need. Your cells are starving for natural, unrefined mineral salt, like authentic Celtic sea salt or Himalayan pink salt. These natural salts contain over 80 trace minerals, including magnesium, potassium, and calcium. These minerals are the exact chemical keys we talked about earlier. When you introduce a tiny amount of natural mineral salt to your body, a magical physiological shift happens. The magnesium relaxes the cellular walls, the potassium opens the doors, and the sodium pulls the water directly into the deepest layers of your muscle tissue and fascia. It turns your body from a slippery funnel into a highly absorbent sponge. The water gets locked securely inside your cells to hydrate you from the inside out. And because the water is securely trapped in your tissues doing important repair work, it is not flowing down into your bladder at 2 in the morning. This is how you break the cycle. You stop drinking dead water and you start giving your body the structural minerals it needs to hold on to hydration exactly where it belongs. Picture a completely dry kitchen sponge sitting on your counter. If you take a large glass of water and dump it directly onto that bone-dry sponge, what happens? The water washes right over the surface and spills all over your counter. But if you take that same sponge, make it slightly damp first, and then pour the water slowly, it absorbs every single drop. Your body works the exact same way. You cannot just chug a massive amount of empty water and expect your cells to absorb it. This brings us to the sponge protocol, a precise daily routine designed to hydrate your tissues deeply so your bladder can rest at night. It starts the moment you wake up. After a long night of sleep, you are naturally dehydrated. But instead of reaching for coffee or a giant glass of plain filtered water, I want you to do this. Take a glass of warm water and add just one small pinch of authentic Celtic sea salt or Himalayan pink salt. Stir it until it dissolves and drink it on an empty stomach. That tiny amount of natural sodium and magnesium acts like a primer. It gently opens the cellular doors we talked about earlier, turning your muscle tissues into an absorbent sponge, ready to pull in hydration for the rest of the day. Next is the rule of front-loading. Your kidneys are most active and efficient when you are upright and moving during the daylight hours. So, you need to consume roughly 70% of your total daily water before 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And remember, never drink completely dead water. You do not need to add salt to every single glass, but you should be getting trace minerals through your food or by adding a tiny pinch to your water bottle. When you hydrate heavily before 2 in the afternoon with the right minerals, your body has plenty of time to distribute that moisture to your skin, your joints, and your organs. By the time the evening rolls around, the heavy lifting is completely done. Finally, we reach the most critical part of the protocol, the evening cutoff. You must stop drinking all fluids exactly 2.5 hours before your head hits the pillow. This gives your kidneys enough time to filter out any remaining excess and send it to your bladder while you are still awake. But I know exactly what you are thinking. What if my mouth gets incredibly dry right before bed? Here is the ultimate physiological hack. Do not drink a glass of water. Instead, take one single tiny crystal of mineral salt and place it directly on your tongue. Let it dissolve, and then take one microscopic sip of water, just enough to swallow. The salt will immediately trigger your salivary glands to produce moisture, curing your dry mouth instantly without putting any actual volume of liquid into your stomach. Your brain registers that you are hydrated, your mouth feels perfectly fine, and your bladder remains completely empty. This simple routine costs absolutely nothing, but it fundamentally rewires how your body processes fluids. Let me share a quick story about a patient named John. He's 65 years old and came to me completely exhausted. For 3 years, he had not slept more than 2 hours at a time without having to rush to the bathroom. He tried prostate medications. He restricted his water intake so much that his skin was constantly dry, but nothing worked. I looked at his diet and realized he was eating almost zero sodium and drinking a gallon of purified reverse osmosis water every day. I put him on the exact sponge protocol we just talked about. 1 pinch of Celtic salt in his morning water, 70% of his hydration before 2 in the afternoon, and the tiny salt crystal trick before bed. Within 4 days, John slept for 7 straight hours. He literally wept in my office because he finally got his life back. But the benefits did not stop at his bladder. When you fix your cellular hydration, you fix your entire systemic energy. John stopped getting severe calf cramps in the middle of the night. That heavy morning brain fog completely lifted. Why? Because for the first time in years, his brain and his muscles actually had the electrical charge and the moisture they needed to repair themselves during deep sleep. Your body is incredibly smart. It is not broken. It is not betraying you because of your age. It simply cannot run a highly complex biological machine on empty, dead water. You have to provide it with the right structural materials. Tonight, I want you to try this. Get some real mineral salt. Stop drinking plain water after dinner. Take back control of your biology. If this video helped you understand your body better, please hit the like button right now. It tells the algorithm that this medical information needs to reach other people who are losing sleep and feeling hopeless. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on these science-backed health protocols. Share this exact video with a friend or a family member who complains about waking up at night. And finally, leave a comment below and tell me how many times you usually wake up, and let me know if you are starting the salt trick tonight. I read every single comment. Your sleep is precious, and it is time you finally get to enjoy it.